So I think my real question here is when we do these two-a-days, like, are we supposed to change in between?
I was wondering that. Because me with my orange, it was I was gonna change, and then I was like, well, I have a limited wardrobe anyway, so if I do that, I'm gonna run out of clothes. So I stuck with it. Did you change? I don't even remember what you were wearing.
I mean, I was wearing another t-shirt. I did change, but I worked out this afternoon. But I was wondering that like beforehand, where it was like, am I going to have to do this? I don't know.
You
I
suspect.
guess for the first day, it's special. You're wearing it's clearly a different color. Um, Ricky Fowler, OSU. That's your jam. Hi everyone. This is Andrew and Ben from A to B. This is the late night lock show. We're going to talk about how things have changed for us in terms of golf in the last 5 hours since we sort of talked about it before. This is obviously an unconventional show. Typically, we will have the regular. No, chill out. We will have the regular show
Our
on
animals are getting
Tuesdays.
feisty.
Yeah, they are. And then on Wednesday night, we will have this show where typically a lot more will have changed. This week, we're kind of just going to do what our normal show is because we didn't get a chance to talk about a ton of it earlier. So we'll kind of rifle through the plays. Maybe like we stop on the plays when we get to guys and talk about sort of how much we have of each or like which ones we are actually on so that we don't have to go through it twice. Does that make sense to you?
Makes sense to me.
All right, let's do it. So this weekend we are at TPC Boston. It's a home game for Keegan, dude. So he still stinks. I would not personally be playing very much of him. But it is a reasonably gettable course, not a huge deal for such a strong field. Usually when we have these big strong fields, it's at majors or WGC events, and those courses tend to have a little bit of teeth. This one is not too bad. I mean, I don't think it's the easiest course in the world. I think part of the reason some of the scores are lower is because it's really good players there. But do you have any takes on the course itself?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty straightforward. Par 71, so three par fives. Like most courses, if it's somehow windy, it's going to play harder. If it's really soft, guys can flag hunt. Scores are going to be low. We've seen over the years some different things, but generally, I think guys can creep around possibly into the 20s, and that's low. Scores are going to be there. Streaks will be had. Bonuses will be had. And you're right. Part of it, it's 100 guys, and besides the real riffraff at the bottom, it's the best players in the world. So you're going to have good scoring because it's better players. But I don't think the course, not one that I'm overthinking. I kept it pretty straightforward. It doesn't lean itself to anything in particular. I do think that if you bomb it, that can be an asset. But we've seen different types of players win here. We saw Rory. We've seen Kirk. A lot of other guys. Keep it pretty straightforward. It's the end of the year. I don't think there's many secrets really left at this point.
No, I don't think so either. I'm with you. I think this is more or less a get as much golfer for your dollar as you can and like try to leverage off of that as much as you can with some of the lower owned plays. We have ownership projections here at osmo.com, which are pretty cool. So those are definitely something that I like to cross-reference when I'm picking out my own guys. Producer Josh and I had a little talk earlier about kind of leveraging people's odds of finishing in a certain place against their ownership and their price and all of that. And that's a really strong way to do it. That's generally how I go about a lot of my personal strategy. Ben, I know you do it very differently, but often we're on pretty similar plays. So I think we both have processes that work for us. But let's see here. We do have some expensive guys. A lot of really good players. Dustin Johnson, Justin Thomas, Brooks Koepka, Rory, Jason Day, and Jordan Spieth are your 10K plus guys. What's your strat here, man?
So, I alluded to this earlier. It's nothing. I just have trouble paying up at this point because I don't see that much difference. And when ownership is not overly drastic, in my opinion, on these guys, I'll take the slight savings. It's no coincidence that the three guys in the 10K I just happen to like better. Rory, Spieth, and Day are more my speed over DJ, JT, and Brooks anyway. Having said that, though, I do like taking the savings. It's kind of a hybrid balance, I guess you could say. It's no stars and scrubs, which I do think people not will do, but you can do it just because the bottom of these fields are stronger. There are no bozos left. So, you're going to get some bang for your buck, even in the sixes if you want to go there. I'm not saying I took a different route, but for me, I started in the 10K, or even we'll get to Rose, obviously. On all three of the guys in the 10K, I have 0% of all the guys in the 11K, which, I mean, my week could be over if one of those three wins. It's certainly some win equity that I'm sacrificing, but I can really load up on the rest.
Yeah, that seems a little nuts to me personally. I do have a fair amount, not a fair amount. I have quite a bit of DJ and JT. I don't have as much Brooks, but I'm with you. I think that like Day is actually the guy out of all of these 10K plus dudes that I have the most of. I think he's kind of in the most attackable spot. He's, his ownership isn't any higher, and he's a much better price. I think in the past, like at a lot of the majors, we had just like an absolutely loaded $9,000 range, and we don't really have that this week. Like Patrick Cantlay is fully priced, still a good play, but he was $8,000 for a long time, which was pretty silly. Rose is a nice value, but like Tiger's not in this class, Adam Scott's not in this class. I like Rahm fine. Rahm and Deki are just having kind of weird years. I like them okay, but not overly excited to go there. And then, like just even moving down a little bit, Finau and Bryson, I would say are overpriced at this point. It's maybe fair. Like they're both good scorers, and like I get it. Those are guys I like to play. I'm a huge Finau fan, but at a stacked field like this, when he's at a premium price
and ownership,
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna play Tommy Fleetwood for the first time ever.
I have some Fleetwood.
I never play Fleetwood. I think this is the spot.
I get what you're saying. I'm higher on Rahm than you, I guess, just because I'm very high on him. One of my favorite plays of the whole slate. Rose is a guy. I mean, I started there with cash. Cantlay had been brought up here and there. I'm not really on him. I didn't like it. I'm using Cantlay in cash, and that's all I'm doing. That's my hedge with him. Just fit what I wanted to do. I wasn't really looking to go there, but I think he's going to play fine. I think I have a pretty good middle opportunity with him, coming in 17th and not hurting my cash team much, not getting there per se in tournaments. So we'll see how that goes. Do you have any Tiger? I know you just mentioned him.
I'm not planning on it. I mean, I'll probably have a general strategy in mind. I'm not a super hardcore fade guy, but I'm going to be way under on Tiger.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly where I'll fall. I do have some exposure. And I think that's kind of what I was just talking about. I have some exposure to someone like Tiger because I can afford it in the sense that I sacrificed highly up top. So like I was really able to get way over on Spieth, Day, Rory, and then also with Rahm and Rose, and I sprinkled here and there with the rest of those guys.
Yeah, I do like. I mean, I like Rahm. I don't think I'm like anti-Rahm. I have 20, 25%. Like that's going to be at least the field, maybe a little bit more. Although the Osmo projections have him as the highest owned guy at 24%. I'm not sure he gets there. I think that, Fleetwood and JT and even Tiger, potentially Finau, those are going to be your like uber chalk. And I agree with you on Cantlay. I have him in cash. I'm underweight on him in tournaments because I think you're right. I don't think he's someone that's going to kill you. He's a pretty low rover player. I think you can skate by a fade of him in tournaments, but agree that he's going to, he's a nice solid play. He's just not a real smash play. He's not a guy that scares you as much. Tommy Fleetwood is a guy that's generally been pretty scary to fade. He's a very high rover player. My argument has generally been he's not as good as his popularity versus price tag has indicated. I think he's priced fairly this week. I think his price has come down. I think that makes sense. I think that's a spot for him. He's going to be similar ownership as he always was. And then the big thing with the high rover player is like what I was hoping for is for him to have, because he has a bad round every tournament. I was hoping it was going to come on Thursday or Friday one of these days, and he wasn't going to make it through the weekend. That has not happened. But this week you're less worried about the cut because there's, 3/4 of these guys are going to get through. And I think his price is finally fine, and it's going to be the same ownership as usual. So just from an expected value perspective, Tommy Fleetwood strikes me as a much better play this week than he has been lately.
Yeah, I'm I like Fleetwood, I think, in general, a little more than you do. Not that I use them a ton, but I do use them. I have around 40% right now, so I'm sure I'll get quite over the field there. I like the spot. You just talked about it. I think even though he doesn't really show it, the miscut equity is there with him. He
Really
can
hot.
really have some ugly stuff. The upside is also there, and this just the way this is laid out, the miscut equity is reduced for everyone, but the upside will remain. Pseudo non-cut. That's what we talked about. So 8,500. Don't think the ownership will translate to that discount. Yeah, I loaded up. Him and Reed are two of my, in terms of ownership, two of my highest owned guys, two of my favorite plays.
Okay, fair enough. What are you doing with Hideki?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I have what did I do with? I have 32% right now. I haven't finished, so it's gonna be. I'm getting over. There's no doubt. There was a chance. I really thought there was a chance I was just going to jam him because I do like the spot. Ultimately, it was just kind of how my lineups formed. I was able to mix and match enough where I felt there was no reason to do that. Uh, it's hard not to like him here, though. I mean, he's we still haven't seen that like Deki, Deki cyborg round.
No, we haven't. I'm not sure it's coming this year. Like his stats have been better, but I don't know.
Are
I
you
think
not on him?
not really.
Oh
I,
wow,
I was surprised, but
yeah, I'm surprised too. I thought that was a given.
I mean, there was just other guys like the fact that he has been. I don't know. He hasn't really shown me anything to. He's still the same price, and he hasn't really shown me anything to say that he shouldn't be. To say that he should keep that price. I feel like he
Yeah.
should have been going down a little bit. Just Fleetwood's gone down. I don't know. I'm really into like Fleetwood and Casey, like their massive price drops. I'm just more excited to play those because then I can get up to. I do think there's a meaningful difference between Day and all of the guys, other than Day and then Rose, but everyone else in the $9,000 range. I don't like Tiger. I don't like Scott. Cantlay and Rahm are fine, but I don't know. I just there's I'd rather. I'm kind of with you in that I'd rather get up to $10,000.
Okay. Yeah. I guess I'm splitting the difference. I agree with that. It's for me, it's the 11,000 where I'm like, I don't even care to go up there. If I'm going to go up, let me get Spieth, who's certainly not safe by any stretch, but I do think it's worth rostering. And then Rory, who I do like, especially here. Deki, I don't know. The irons have heated up. That was the one indicator where I'm like, maybe it is coming. It seemed like somewhat of a lost year, and maybe it will be. I'm certainly with you on Fleetwood. Casey to me is a little different. I have a good amount actually, but he does worry me. He's just not playing that well for cash. It's plug and play. I would say still.
Yeah.
Um, in a tournament where again making the cut is less. Not that it's less important. It's just easier. I'm not sure how great Casey is. I like him just fine, but I think you can get by with, if you want to navigate to Leishman, you want to navigate to Usti, other guys right in that micro range.
Yeah, that's a good segue. My highest overexposure, I think, is Louis right
Yeah.
now. I think he's projecting at 8-ish, if I remember correctly. And I am planning, I think I have something a lot more than that.
Yeah,
28.
I also have 28. Now mine's going to change, but that's that synergy that we got going here.
Yeah, man. I'm also like I have one bullet in the 888 and I'm playing Louis on that. So, my portfolio is pretty heavily wrapped up in him.
Yeah, that's important to say, and for people who may have not seen our show before, I allude to that a lot of times. Like I may have 40% of a guy, but it's all large field GPP flyers. It's more for me dollars, in percentage of dollars owned. Like if I use someone in a Thunderdome team, that he's going to account for a higher percentage than if he's on 20, drive the green teams. So that is an important distinction.
No, it's true. And it's like a distinction that we're saying that people should know, but it's also a distinction that they should
know for themselves.
Yeah, people should do that. It's very helpful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's how a lot of times, I talk about that Zach Johnson comes to mind, and that's what I'm doing with Cantlay. I'm only going to have 2.5% of him across 40 lineups, but he's on my cash team. So dollars wise, it's a little different. It changes kind of how you look at things when you do it like that.
Yeah, and that's something that's nice. That's a good thing that's helpful for the Rover stat is like those guys, like Cantley's not a tough fade, really. Like he's gonna be fine. He's probably gonna come in 20, somewhere between 15th and 30th place. There's certainly upside for a little bit more. I don't know that he's got like tournament winning upside with this bunch of swinging D's. There's a lot of awesome players. So I don't know. I am totally fine coming in a little bit under and just playing him on my cash team. That is a common deal for us. It depends on the player. Like Tommy Fleetwood is not someone you want to play in cash and then avoid in tournaments.
That would be the opposite, yeah.
Yeah.
Because if just to flesh that point out, because if you get Tommy Fleetwood right, it's usually because he went nuclear, and then you want him in the tournaments because you need the upside. Getting Cantlay right per se is more that he's very steady. He racks off another T15. Of course, all these guys are super talented. They all could break through, but he's in the Casey bucket for me of guys that I'm less worried about just slate ending monster. Whereas, Fleetwood is on the other side of that spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. And if you get Deki right, if you get Fleetwood right and you fade him, it's hard, everyone's very results. He is a guy that is going to miss cuts and miss them spectacularly. It's coming. He tends to have bad rounds. Just they're usually in the weekend.
Do you have Rover in front of you?
No, but I can.
I was just wondering about Finau. Just because, Rover aside, he's another one, and I'm not trying to rip on Tony Finau, but he has been if anyone from Fanvice Slack will kind of get this reference, he's Harkins-esque right now, where Brandon Harkins was making spectacular cuts on the number for months, and you knew it was going to regress. And Finau's been certainly different than that. He had a couple ridiculous cut makes. I just think right now he is maxing out where he's finishing, how he's playing, and that's great. The regression is coming with that guy. There's no doubt in my mind. I was just wondering what his Rover was.
Yeah, sorry, I was logged out. 1 second here.
Because he doesn't even strike me as that erratic anymore. It's just, he's just living well. I mean, he gained 7 strokes around the green last week.
Well, that's what I was going to say is I don't think that Finau is necessarily the highest Rover guy in the world. He has a very high, like, intra round Rover.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he's a guy that will, that's why he scores so much is because he does a lot of birdie bogey. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, whereas I think we were both on full fades. That was a disaster. I don't want to bring this up, but I'm going to. He was just like dead and buried on Thursday, and then Friday came out. He was just massive chalk, and came out and hit 5 20-foot putts in a row. That's almost impossible to do.
Especially, yeah. And that's kind of what I was alluding to. Where I'm saying the results have been good. I'm not trying to diminish them. At the same time, he has been living pretty well. So I'm interested.
Like I was saying, I got it. He's got a 40 Rover.
So okay,
which is pretty stable, but intra round he does some wacky stuff. So
yeah, I mean golf's funny like that too. Rose is another one. Not to really tangent off, but we saw Rose at the British Open, rally, birdies 18, makes the cut on the number. Then he comes in, I think he finished second. Like, you have a miscut, it changes the whole complexion when you're kind of making cuts on the number and salvaging like that.
Totally agree. All right, let's move down a little bit more. We will look at the sort of, we got more mid-eights to talk about. Do you have Stenson or Bryson takes?
Not really. It's funny. I could make a case for both of them. They didn't find my lineups much, if at all. I don't know what to make of Stenson. He took a week off. It's kind of just been blah. I don't want to call him a fringe cash play that didn't get there because I don't see him that way. at the same time, I'm not sure how many times he burns me in this spot if I don't allocate much ownership to him.
Yeah.
You're more a Stenson guy anyway, are you?
Yeah, I like Stenson. He's back to being Stenson. He's playing really well. He just can't putt, and the putting comes and goes. And if he can putt this weekend, he's going to be awesome. I don't know if
you're getting over.
What is his ownership?
I can't assume it'll be. I was thinking around like 10% ish, maybe less even, but I don't know.
I think I am over that. I gotta get. This is a whole new world streaming on multiple platforms. I'm trying to watch two chats and look at my
crazy.
3 different spreadsheets and
keep them in line.
Yeah, not look at college football.
A lot of good, a lot of bad.
20% Stenson. Yeah, that'll get over the field.
Oh, definitely.
Don't really have a ton of Bryson. Don't know how interested I am in him. I wish he was 8,100 because I think he'd be really popular again.
I'm the opposite, actually. I wish he was 10K. Like, if he was 10K, I would play him. I don't know how much I love this whole situation. I don't like to play guys off wins. I will say he's the type of guy, though, that can keep it rolling. Just his whole mentality. Playing well. No real knock against the play. It's just that Fleetwood and Reed are 2 guys that I've really honed in on.
Okay. Yeah, I have quite a bit of Reed too.
Do you have any Webb? I just want to throw him out real quick. I ultimately didn't have any.
I ultimately don't have much, but I was intrigued by the play. He kind of showed up as an idea. I think I will probably play like 10%, but I'm not getting heavy on him. I think that probably matches the field.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know. You can't have room. This is a major-esque field, and we've talked about this at every major. You can go all the way down to the mid-sevens, and you can really say, well, the guy's pretty good. You can make a case for him. Can't play them all. That's not the best strategy in the world.
Nope, it's not. But it does. There are a lot of cool lineups you can make so this is probably a me thing, but there are cool lineups you can make with one of the $11,000 players, and then like a Webb or a Reed or a Fleetwood, and then you're kind of digging. Yeah.
I guess for me, and I'm sure you're able to do this with that, but like I was able to take two of those guys and then like Rory up top and build pretty nicely.
Mm-hmm. But who else? So Fleetwood and Reed. You're saying you don't really like Stenson, you don't really like Bryson, you don't really like Webb. I can't imagine you like Phil or Horschel.
Not particularly. I do think that Phil is a fine play because you're getting 4 rounds out of him most likely. No, it's basically Fleetwood and Reed. Deki was the other guy. And the way I built, I was even able to get Rom. Like I have teams that are like, I'm not looking at them right now, but like Rory, Rom, and then one of Reed or Fleetwood. Like yeah. I like that start.
Yeah, that makes sense. Except, you know what the problem with that is, right?
Well, Rory.
Yeah.
But we knew that already. Yeah.
Having the 10-6 guy that should be 7,800 is tough. But
or should he? We'll see. I do like that. I mean, I'm not going to talk about Rory much because there's nothing really to say.
No.
I am glad that he didn't play last week. You can take these pressers for what you paid for him. He was saying he didn't want to try to tweak things while playing, take a couple weeks, get back to doing what golfers do to fix stuff, and now come out fresh. I still think it's there. He just needs to fix some simple stuff. He has to be able to hit a wedge. Like when you're 100 yards out and you can't hit it inside 30 feet, you shouldn't be good. And we've seen that with Rory recently.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. He pipes it 370 straight and can't even get a birdie look.
No.
But it's gross. Like, the only time he has good rounds, it's not even birdie looks. It's just like it's when he's drilling 15 footers because he hit a 100-yard wedge shot to 15 feet, which is not actually that good.
Not good at all. No. And it's funny, he alluded to this in the press conference. His around the green game has been stellar this year. he's got way too many sample size parts because
Yeah.
he's
Why is he
scrambling.
shooting around the green all the time?
It's insane. But we'll see. That's not something I'm too worried about. I am worried though. I mean, this is where the middle of the sevens, like
Oh
I
yeah.
think we both like Usti, but
Oh,
like the Woodland, Sneds, Zach Johnson's in there. I had trouble
Cole's in
here.
play.
Yeah, like what did you have anything you discovered? Because I ultimately wasn't super high on the whole range.
I mean, I have a lot of the whole range because like that's where my lineups ended up.
Mm-hmm.
Do I
How's it?
love it? No. Am I confident in any of these guys? No.
Yeah.
Am I playing more than the field on most of these guys? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Not Bubba. I'm not going to play any Bubba. I think Wise is one of the weaker plays on the week. Um, just because I think he'll get up in ownership. I really like Aaron Wise, but that's a tough price tag to swallow for me. I don't like Tyrrell Hatton. I don't play him. Friends shouldn't let friends play Tyrrell Hatton. Guy's bad.
Woodland.
Yeah, I have a little bit.
Okay.
I'm a little scared that he's never gonna he's not gonna club down here. That's not great for him.
I see the course a little differently. I really do. I know the rough is not where you want to be messing around, but I think he can, unless like any course, if you do stupid things, you're going to get punished. But I think he can get away with, like, similar to what I think Day is going to do, and Tiger, to that matter.
Yeah, it's possible, and he's been playing very well. I mean, I have some Woodland. I'm just a little bit scared of it. The correlations to this place are like Memorial, Waste Management, Valero. Like I was surprised by that, but those are like the skill sets correlate most heavily. Like what has actually worked for DraftKings scoring per round. You've got to hit the fairways. They're wider fairways, so they're easier to hit. But if you're off in the stuff, it's not going to be good.
No, that's fair. Yeah, Woodland's my favorite of that bunch.
Is Louis your favorite or is Woodland?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm putting Louis in a different tier, I guess. I like Louis a lot. I think there's no problem with him. There's always a magic number. I think with any slate, and for mine it was 7,700. Unfortunately, I kept getting lineups that were right there. Couldn't get to Louis, so there was some Woodland.
My first one of my cash team had 7,700 left over, and I said I need to remake my cash team.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can end cash there.
Nope.
I have RCB in cash. I think that might be an issue, but
yeah, might want to look into
that. I don't know what else to do.
I mean, I'd rather play like Charlie Hoffman in cash. I think.
I don't want to do that either.
Charlie Hoffman.
I really do. I'm not a Charlie Hoffman guy. RCB will be fine for me. Anyway, I think you could take Bubba as a flyer. He doesn't like the course, and he's one of the few guys I think you actually have to just like take what he does at face value, where he murders a place, tends to just win, like, seems like year after year, and where he has no interest, like anywhere in Europe, he gets cut. So I am a little alarmed that he doesn't like this course. Man, I feel like his game should translate somewhat better than it has. And in certain stacks with like JB Holmes in particular, I have a couple of teams that are pretty bomber heavy with him. I think he fits in nicely.
Yep, I think that's fine. Have a fair amount. Or wait, sorry. Who do you say?
Bubba.
Oh no, I do not have a ton of Bubba.
I don't have a ton. I'm just saying I think in certain correlated lineups, he's an interesting piece just because of the price. I mean, Bubba, jokes aside, because he is a joke in general, 7,600 I think is pretty good. Like, that's the knock for me on Aaron Wise. I like Aaron Wise, but you're telling me Bubba or Aaron Wise, I have a hard time going there when I could take someone like that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be weird to see Bubba up there, with Webb, Phil, Horschel in the low eights. That's a probably more appropriate price tag. I'm with you. I don't know. This is probably a little personal bias, which we should try to avoid, but this is where Bubba and I's relationship started to turn south, was 2 years ago here. Hadn't missed the cut all year. Just was monstrously awesome. People had, he had this reputation as being all over the place. He really was not at all that year. He just scored a ton of points. And I played him in cash every single week. And then he missed the cut here when 3/4 of the people make it through. And then I continued to play him last year when he was just awful. So I'm still having trouble. Bubba did totally make it up for me. I won that $5 tournament, the second $5 tournament.
Yeah.
The green at the Travelers with him and JB, who both cost me a lot of money last year. They made me all of that back at that tournament. So very happy with them overall. I mean, I'm fine with them overall again, but I'm kind of cashing out.
No, that happens. I think it's okay to do that as long as you're cognizant of it.
Yeah. And Bubba with JB is a nice pairing.
That's what
Bubba,
I'm doing.
JB, some Phil. You get Day up top. Oh God, you make sick.
Rom. Yeah, I have lineups like that, and I think it's fine because you know what, it is what it is. Anyway,
I've been avoiding talking about Alex Noren for a while.
I knew you were going to bring him up. That's if you did not.
Not to.
I'm not there. I'm a Noren guy. I didn't do it. I actually have 0%. I think there's something just wrong at this point. It was too alarming for me to even allocate the normal, like, I'll take 10% and just get over. But did you? I mean, I don't know. I ended up on a lot of RCB. He's like a key piece to many important teams of mine.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, I like RCB. His projection is higher. It's higher than Hoffman's, and it is not higher than Noren's. It's not higher than Berger's. But those four guys, I think, those are all really, really strong value. Like, those stick out to me as those are screaming values. Noren, RCB, Hoffman, and Berger. You know, but the model is largely, you know, there's recent stuff in that's more important, but like even accounting for sort of recent downticks in form as the biggest part, Noren's still the strongest projection there. I mean, it's like they're all within 2 points of each other, but
yeah, I don't know. Noren, and we were talking about this earlier today. It's not that he's just playing bad; it's his irons, and they're horrendous right now, and like that's not a weak link of what he does. He's lost 6, 2, and 4.5 in the last couple.
Not bad.
His
I mean,
it's not good.
It is bad.
I also, in general, Noren, he's more of it's a brutal conditions. He can scramble. I don't think this is that. I don't know how low he goes even when he's playing well. Bryson
What's lucky with Noren is when he shoots like 7 under when it is brutal. Like he does like the Snedeker thing where it's like he almost plays better, not even relative to the field better. I just mean straight better when it's like.
I know what you're saying. Like, yeah, because he only gets his upside when it happens to be impossible, not in relation to. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's kind of like Uline, and it's a double standard because I do have a sprinkle of Uline. It's just like, honestly, even if you get it right, what is he really going to give you?
Noren?
Yeah. Like, do you think there's any ceiling?
Heartburn?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At least you feel something from him. It's not dead to you.
All right, fine. I'm not playing that much, but man,
I'm sorry. I wish I could say otherwise.
I'm just gonna be bummed if he does, obviously. But just after last week, I had so much of him.
And so did I.
It was really frustrating.
I think that's a good decision now.
Well, I already took him off my highest stakes team, but I think
that's a good decision. Don't do that.
What do you think his ownership is in that 888 though, man?
Honestly, well, I was gonna say like 2%, but it might be less at this point. You'd have to really be thinking. I don't know what you'd be doing if you're playing him. He's got no signs of life right now.
Yeah, but that doesn't I mean, golf is such a joke like that. It turns.
I know. It does turn fast.
You say that all the time. Like, this guy's dead. Like, I mean, people are playing Ches Reavie again this week. Remember when he was dead and buried forever, gone like 3 weeks ago?
I don't remember when he was. I mean, he is dead and buried for me. Never was alive. But I know what you're saying. It seems like they're never gonna. It works both ways too. I remember when Hadley and multiple other guys were never gonna miss a cut, and
I
then there
don't
was. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the difference because I'm a Hadley guy. You're a Ches guy. Um,
because Ches is a good player.
Stop. Let's not get crazy on the first.
Webley, this might be a place for Webley.
I know he's only like 66 or something. We'll get down there.
Yeah. Josh wants to know, or Josh Engelman wants to know, is 21% Noren bad? I wouldn't have said so yesterday, for sure, but it's getting lower all the time for me.
I just don't know exactly why you want to do that in the sense of you can get over with half that, and I'm not sure. For me, it's when I play a play like that, and I believe me, I take my fair share of really extreme ones like that. I do it because I still think that the ceiling is there, regardless of the miscut equity. And with Noren, I'm not sure how good. He may very well make this cut because it's only 25 guys. If he comes in 40th, though, what's really gained from doing that?
Mm-hmm. Sort of like when you were crowing about the ceiling of Peter Uihlein on last Friday. It's like, oh, dude, he's all set. Here he is.
I was holding that winning ticket, 250 to 1.
Yeah, but it's Peter Uihlein. That's never going to happen.
I
mean, he'll win a tournament at some point, but
which tour?
Not this one.
Yeah, there you go. And you might be right about him. I played him last week, and he was legitimately 0.1% owned in high stakes. And I was one of a couple people who used him. It started great. Ultimately, it didn't pay off at all because he didn't do anything. He made the cut, and that's nice. But I could have just taken the safer play to do that. That wasn't the best.
I was all over him. Like, I'm not a huge Uihlein guy in general, obviously, but I was real into him at the Wyndham. But that's because he was like 7,700 and sub 10% owned, and that's a garbage field. Like, I don't know. I'd rather have Uihlein play against bad players because that's what he's used to doing in the Euro Tour.
Oh, wow. This new chat is pretty interesting the way it looks. I just scanned over there.
Which chat? We have how many chats do we have going now?
It seems like unlimited, but we had a what's up A and B. What's up, man? You see that?
No, I don't see that one. I have our Restream chat, and then I have Slack chat. Is there another one?
Chat. That's the one I was looking at.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Yeah, Michael. Hey, what's up, Michael?
What's up, dude?
I was looking at that. Yeah, I meant to say thank you, Route 6 Marine, for the Pheno Rover thing. Yep. We got some comments. Continue.
Grace?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I'll just speak to this real. We don't have that many plays left. Then we can get egregious, and we'll mosey on out of here. I like Grillo, and I like Benyon. I ultimately had a lot of lineups where I needed one of those two, and I kind of split the difference. I have both of them in a lot of spots. Different types of plays. I feel confident that Grillo is going to be fine. Benyon, I have no confidence in, but he's legitimately on fire tee to green, and he is dead last in putting almost week after week.
But it's been like that for 4 years now. He's
a bad putter, but he's not. Nobody's this bad. That I'm saying he can regress and lose 2.5 strokes on the greens.
Yeah. You wouldn't rather. I mean, I guess what I'm saying here is like this is a place since so many people are going to make the cut. Like it's more about. I know you hate this style of game, but it's more about hitting putts and getting some birdies. Like, wouldn't you rather take a shot on hope that Kevin Kisner shows up for 2.5 days? Because he does that a lot.
I know what you're saying, but no, honestly, I wouldn't, just because I think that the way I'm looking at this course is you're tee to green, you can really attack. If this is soft, Benyon can get by with not having 15 footers. Like he can get hot with the irons to the extent he can flag hunt. I'm not sure this becomes a putting competition like that. So it always is going to help. You're going to need to make them. I understand that conceptually, of course, but I still think for me, I'll lean on some of these good tee to green bad putters. I think it could translate at a course like this.
Yeah, I mean, it always can.
No, I know, but the way you say it, we've talked about this before, and it's worth saying. In birdie fests that are really low scoring, it kind of just becomes everyone, you're going to have, say, 12 looks at it. You got to make 7 of them. Who can do that? If you can't make a 15-footer, you're just going to end up making too many pars to really keep pace. And then at extreme, not that this is pertinent right now, at extremely hard courses, it's the same concept. It's just with pars for bogeys. I do think, though, at a place like this, you can lean on the irons a little more, and I'm hoping putting is mitigated to an extent, / that he doesn't lose 8 strokes putting. That
No, certainly. I just like I don't know. It's weird because On and Grillo for me for a long time were sort of pet projects. I really like both of them in theory. I think both of us are big fans of both of them, but they've been bad for long enough. They're just not hitting those putts for long enough that they're not showing up as great values to me anymore. So I'm not sure about that. Another guy, we had a question from the chat about what is wrong with me. Oh, Kyle Stanley, who's the same player as those guys, but he's way more popular. So I would rather play Grillo or On personally.
I have a little Stanley. You just touched upon it. Nothing against him. He is very similar to them. He can't putt. Just I'll take the other 2 in front of him, but nothing wrong with going there.
Yep. I don't know. Maybe again, I guess I'm being stubborn, but there are guys I just am going for. I have some. It's weird. These are not my type of players generally, but they have been lately. I'm playing some Kisner. I have some like 2% owned Brian Harmon. I have a little bit of Adam Hadwin. Like those guys are fine players. They've played well here before. Not the greatest results lately, but monster. Like when they're on and they're drilling those putts, which they can do, and Benny On is not going to do.
No.
I like that, at a no cut event, at a glorified weekend golf, that's two hit 20-foot putts might be more points than a couple of doubles against you oh my, you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. I really do.
2 hit 20-foot putts is definitely more points than a pair of doubles, but to be not as obvious.
It's a really interesting concept, and to be honest, I didn't think about those guys per se, just because the way the around the green is here. I do think some of their punch is taken out, but you are right. I mean, we have those guys have an ability to get hot. It's just in a different way. When you can putt like that, you kind of always have some baked in upside, because it's pretty easy to play golf if you hit it in a 20-foot radius. Make birdie. I'm still sticking more to I like Chappell kind of over those guys, who, again, another one.
Love Chappell. But Chappell's very high rover. Grillo and On are not really.
Yeah, but Chappell's high rover, he's not. I wouldn't equate him with those putters, though, that you were talking about. He's a different case. I give you that in terms of
high rover because he shoots 82 sometimes.
yeah, he's a high rover because he's sometimes possibly the worst player on tour. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say, the guys you're mentioning, you're going to be able to get over with not a ton, which is nice.
That's more it than anything else. It's like, okay, I can play 10% Brian Harmon, who has monstrous nuke upside, much larger upside than his frame. And I don't know.
I used them last week. I'm not against those guys. For me, I think I found a couple others. I may sprinkle and have some. What are you doing with your boy Russell Henley?
Playing a ton of it, man.
I have 0.
Are you crazy?
I have 0, yeah. And you know me, I like Russell Henley in life, but
then why wouldn't you play him here? We talk, let me set you up I'm digging a hole for you that I want you to get out of, because clearly you've thought about this. We just talked at the top of this about how this is not really that big of a skill set course so much. It's it's a lot about getting the most golfer you can for your dollar.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most golfer you can possibly get for your dollar. Counterpoint.
Yeah. The counterpoint is that Russell Henley is a guy that I just have good feelings about, which is not that's anecdotal, but he has terrible course history here, and he's playing terrible. Looking at those two things, it's bad. It's more. It was worse than I thought. It's a situation when I saw the price, I knew for certain that I would have some Russell Henley. When I dug in, I honestly, it's hard to remember these things, but I did Pat's show on Monday. Sure, his name came up, and I probably said, decent value. Thought I would have it. The more I looked, it's just bad. He's doing nothing good. It's just been uneventful. He's had a pair, he was 40th last year, then 2 missed cuts in the years before that. He had a T2 in 2014.
What about the year before that?
Yeah, I just said T2. It's not that. This is a situation where bang for your buck, better golfer. What do you think his ownership's going to be?
2-3%. So if I told you there's a guy that is one of the 20, 25 best players in this field long term, something like that, maybe not quite that high. Either way, top 30. He's like a top 30 player at 3% ownership, and he's got a 20% chance of coming in second place.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's how we got to do it. 40% chance to miss a cut, but 20% second place. I'll say this. I thought he would be between 5 and 10%. Even so, though, I just don't. This is another one. There's got to be a reward to me for playing a guy like that, and I just don't see it. I don't see. Of course, can he play 4 rounds and be fine and come in 40th? Sure.
So second place isn't good enough for you, is what you're saying.
Second place is not. I'm a winner, man. I came in second last week. I'm done with runner-up. It's winner or bust, and my hot take of the week is that Russell Henley doesn't win. So, what do you want me to say?
Yeah, B, you're really stepping out on a limb with the new digs.
It's just it sucks because Russell Henley is a guy that I like. It's just not. I don't see many outs for him to get there this week. Of course, I keep harping on this. He may see 4 rounds, but what's the difference? For me, Chappell all the time over him, because I think there's a reasonable chance that Chappell actually does something useful.
Okay.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry to me. I'm going to be fine because I'm going to play a ton of Russell Henley.
Yeah, tell me how that works. Russell Henley, I'm not going to say if there was one golfer from my life that I had to get right, it would be him, but he would be on the short list. I'm just, for some reason, I get on him at the right times. I get off him at the right times.
I've played him once heavily this year. I played like 40%. He came in 8th place or something.
Oh, no, yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine with Russell Henley. Don't worry about me. And I like him this week.
We both had Russell Henley 1 week early in the year was like 6,600 in like a stupid field. And we were both on him heavily, and it was the obviously right move.
Mm-hmm. We got a Carl Ponta war brewing in Slack. That'll be fun to watch.
Do you have an egregious list before we dart on out?
Yes. Our buddy Coolers did send one to us. We've discussed a few of these guys. And I'm with you. I like Chappell quite a bit too. Yeah. This is something, to those of you that don't know us, the whole point, like as you get lower in dollar value at a golf tournament, generally the guys are going to be lower owned always. So you can play 10, 15% of most of these sub 7K guys and still get over. Occasionally there's random
9%.
Yeah. Or like the reason you can get over on all of these real players that are 3% owned and 6,800 because they're mispriced is because somebody like Joel Dahman has come in 18th the last 3 tournaments, and the whole world needs to play him. So you'll get like 22%, some nobody. Very high EV spots. What? I don't think that's happening this week.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Okay.
I actually think things are pretty efficient. It's the end of the year, like DraftKings has had time to get itself going.
Had a full year. Good.
They're finally rounding into midseason form. DFS golfers are doing their thing. All right, Tyrrell Hatton, my take on that is well known. First name from Coolers. What do you got?
Not for me. I prefer Woodland. Just no, indifferent. Not a play that I'm super interested in.
Yep, same. And yeah, there's 3 other guys right there that I like more, in Louis, Woodland, and I'd rather play Snedeker.
So would I.
Xander.
He's an interesting case because, I think for me, I did focus a little on driving, and he is, when he's on, he's a very, very elite driver of the golf ball. RCB took a lot of him. I may end up with a couple of shares, but for me, he was just sandwiched in a tough range with Grillo. On's a little cheaper, but same concept, and then RCB.
I actually wanted to play Xander this week, and then it's just he cannot get low enough in ownership. It can't happen. We have him at 9.6% here. That's too high ownership.
Yep, I'm right with you.
It's too bad. I'd like to play him. Bubba we discussed earlier, and Wise we discussed earlier. I think that you don't mind a couple shares of Bubba. I don't hate it either. Wise, I think both of us find to be too expensive. James, Jimmy Walker. He's going to be sub 1% owned.
He is. If you're making a bunch of teams, I don't mind that because
Baby Holmes teams, Bubba teams.
If you can avoid the spraying, and I think that for one reason or another, most of those guys will, unless they really have a problem. He's a pretty decent play. Having said that, not sure if he's even going to make my player pool, but I see why you want to go there in certain situations.
All right. Yeah, I don't think I have any right now, but I'm with you. I can see the merit. He's a very, unstable high rover player. He's a guy that you want to play at super low ownership, and I think you're going to get that this week.
Definitely.
So this is certainly the spot for it. Okay, Nick Watney.
Not in love with it. I had a couple shares just because I wanted to mix and match. I didn't want to overload Benny on. He's at that flat 7K price too. When he drives and uses those irons well, he looks great. It's just, he's not a great putter. I don't think in terms of the grand scheme of things in a field like this, he's towards the bottom in just pure talent. So not a core play by any stretch.
I'm not playing Nick Watney when there's Ches Reavie right there at the same price.
Oh, sure. Well,
I like Ches Reavie this week.
Ches Reavie.
That's an egregious thing.
There's almost no scenario at this point where Ches Reavie would be in play for me in any tournament.
I thought you were just being like a jerk, being like, there's no scenario where you could possibly do well. That's not true.
Oh, no, he could play fine. I just won't be using him.
Mm-hmm. Chappell, we both like.
Yep.
I have, 16 or 18%. I'm very high on Chappell. Your boy, JB Holmes.
We kind of talked about him. I'm using him on some important teams, and those teams are geared towards you being able to get away with spraying.
Fair enough.
6,700, pretty nice.
No, I agree, and he's still has his moments scoring. He's oddly just he gets crazy hot with the putter sometimes. I mean,
Once
he did.
in a blue moon.
Yeah, people are not going to remember that he had the best putting performance of the year this year. It was better than Rory at the Masters. Or where was Rory? No, at the
API
21. Yeah, remember when Rory won a tournament? That was crazy.
Oh, I remember. You don't see the rest of my apartment that just has Rory fatheads, but that's neither here nor there.
All right, from John Bradley Holmes to Jonathan Vegas.
Johnny boy.
Pass for me.
Another bomber. I think, again, kind of like Jimmy Walker, I do have some Vegas. You're talking super low ownership. I think the ceiling is there, and that's what I look for when you're saying, what happens if I get this play right? Do I get paid off? With him, I think so.
Yeah.
Now, will he play well? That's a whole nother story. But
I've actually played a couple Johnny Vegas shares lately because he's been sub 1% for a while.
Oh, yeah.
And I've played a little bit here and there, and it's not gone well.
He played well last week, though.
Yep.
Finally.
And then this is more my speed. We got Lahiri Goat in the field. No
No,
cut event. It's a scoreable course. Like, come on, man.
I like Lahiri in life. I don't have any though. No interest.
Okay, then why are you playing Gary Woodland and JB Holmes and like the? Talk to me.
Why am I playing them? Because they're just better than Lahiri. Like Gary Woodland, as much as he's a different player.
I'm just saying they're the same style of player.
Same style, yes. Lahiri, though, again, for me, and maybe it's arbitrary. I try to. There's 20 or so guys where you can group them, and for me, it's who could possibly, if everything breaks right, knock on the door, get some placement points. To me, Lahiri in a field like this, if it was a weaker event, field wise, maybe, but I think JB Holmes, obviously Gary Woodland, they can play with anybody.
Yeah, that's certainly true. They have shown world class.
Yeah, Lahiri. I mean, I like Lahiri in life. It's tough in a field like this to see him really hanging around for 72 holes.
I would agree with that. Question from the chat from Zach Jameson: who is the golfer you believe is most underowned? It's for me, it's Russell Henley. If he's truly 2 or 3% owned, that is egregious.
For me, it would be Usti, just because people get scared of the withdrawal, and believe me, I can speak firsthand. It is a real thing, but at the same time, you kind of just have to put that out of your mind, and I think that honestly dampens his ownership a little, where that shouldn't really factor in.
Yeah, I feel like we have him. The Osmo ownership is 9.1%. That sounds about right to me. I think he might even be a little bit lower than that, 7 or 8. And I am not jamming, but I have a lot of Louis.
Just sub 8K. He's the game is not a problem. Like for me, it's.
And Louis one of those guys where we talk about this a lot too. Who cares about the form? It's Louis. You just don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah.
But he can hang with anyone. He can win anywhere. He probably, honestly, like he's less likely to win at the Byron Nelson or something like that. He shows up at stuff like this.
Yeah, he's a big game player.
Hot takes tonight, since this is the late night show. Yours is that Russell Henley will not win. Mine is that he won't DFL. And there we are. Super hot.
Can we clear the board and can we both be 0 for 0?
No, because I was crushing you. I took higher probability.
I was like, generally, I think I was legitimately 1 for 40
or whatever. It
was bad. All right, what do you have a hot take?
No, but I can come up with one.
Okay,
it's Russell. It's got to be something Russell Henley. Am I pot committed here? It's weird because you can't there's nothing cut related really. Unless you want to really sell someone down the river.
I was going to do that with Finau, that he misses the cut. But I'm going to go with Spieth wins. How's that?
Yeah, that's pretty hot.
That's pretty hot. Not Dante's peak hot, but we're easing into the...
Yeah, let's ease into this, and we'll take our boys. We'll get a nice little head-to-head. I'll take Day versus your Spieth.
Okay.
I think Day is going to be in good shape. I'm a big Jason Day fan. For those people that don't know us, Ben's a huge Jordan Spieth fan. Doesn't like anybody in the world more than Jordan Spieth.
That's it.
He just, the Rory Fathead room is one place. Ben's won a lot of money playing this game, so he's got the Rory Fathead room, but he has a whole Jordan Spieth wing.
And then I have a Bill house, which is a separate compound. He's not here though, so we don't have to talk about that.
I bought the garage and upgraded it a little bit after he helped me out earlier this year. Great. All right. Well, that was a lot of fun talking to you, man.
Yeah, man.
Great times. We will be back tomorrow early afternoon because that is what we do now. We have a daily show. You should tune in. It is from A to B from awesomeo.com. That's me, Andrew, and you, Ben. I go by Hot Magic. You go by Jazz Raz. We have Twitter handles that I think are probably on the bottom of the screen. If anyone wants to follow us and ask Ben questions, that would be great. And thank you, Josh, for helping us still have the training wheels on producing. We will get there. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow.